Namaste Friends, welcome to Yoga Bliss with Shelly, and I am Shelly. Welcome to day 20 of this lovely yoga challenge. Today's practice is inspired to help open the heart and open the hips, a double whammy. Grab a little towel from the kitchen or the bathroom and let's hop back to our mat in our favorite Sukhasana. So press a little pause if you need to. Grab that little towel and just fold it up nicely and set it on the edge of your mat. Beginning in our seated Sukhasana, our crisscross applesauce, however this looks for you, really just tuning into how your legs are on the mat and how your hips feel in your body. Really tuning in, finding length through the spine, really grounding down through the sit bones, through the legs connected to the earth maybe. Your thighs are popping up a little bit, and that's okay. Rolling back at the shoulders and really tuning in to that heart space. We often are so hunched over, we're so busy texting or driving, or we a lot of the times just have poor balance and we have poor core strength, so we hunch forward. So really tuning into what that feels like to have good core strength and good core balance, opening up the shoulders, opening up the heart. Palms, kissing palms, hands in the heart center into Anjali Mudra. Taking a breath deep into the heart space. Good job. This is Jack. Good job. Jack's picking weeds. Thumbs up, Jack.
So I can get a drone.
He's doing some yard work. He's a good helper. And exhaling. Tuning into that breath. Breathing a breath into the heart space. Sinking down, finding length, extending from the sit bones up to the crown. Setting an intention for this practice. Maybe it's heart, to open your hearts. Maybe it's to open your hips, your physical heart or your physical hips. Or maybe you need something a little deeper. Maybe you need to open your spiritual heart or open your heart to love more. Maybe you need to let more light come in today. Whatever that intention is, hold on to that. Breathing in a deep, long, lengthened breath into the heart, filling up the heart space. Expanding at the ribs and letting it. Breathing in a long, lengthened breath into the heart. And letting it flow with an audible sigh or an ah or an ha. And know, my friends, your breath is your most powerful force. Breathing in length and inhale. Letting it go. Every time we exhale, we allow ourselves to let go of something which no longer serves us. So really doing your best in this practice to let go of what was happening before, what's happening after, and be here. And if you need, you can envision a bubble. This is your bubble on your mat. It's your bubble. It can be a square, maybe it's a star, whatever it is. This is your space in your time to love yourself. Inhaling and rising up the shoulders, up towards the ears and rolling the back, really opening up that chest, opening up that heart space. And maybe holding a vision, some imagery of a door opening, a light turning on. Maybe there's a dark room and the light is turning on, and this is going to represent your heart. Maybe it's a dark cave and the cave opens. Whatever resonates with you, or maybe your heart is a flower and the flower is blossoming. Holding that imagery of what that's going to feel like to open that space. Exhaling to neutral, rolling the shoulders together, slowly bringing the blades together, opening up in the back of the body, slowly and mindfully. Exhaling, posting one hand behind you and the opposite. I'm going to sit on my side so you can see. Posting one hand up. Exhaling the opposite hand, option to bend to keep the hands flat on the earth. Really opening up through the heart, keeping a soft bend here. Finding integrity in the spine, growing up the spine, finding length as we open our heart, open our chest, and really tuning into that shoulders. Tuning into those shoulders. Tuning into that breath. That breath is the Puraka Pranayama, which is a purifying breath. Lengthening that inhale. Extending that exhale. And slowly allowing the hands back at the knees. And feeling what this feels like to hunch forward. I was actually doing some fun hip-hop dance moves. My sister's getting married and we're trying to choreograph a dance, which is kind of hilarious because I'm not a hip-hop dancer. But in hip-hop, you actually collapse your spine. I'm so used to in yoga, rising up and finding that integrity. Feel what that feels like to clasp at the spine and bring the arms forward here. Bringing the arms forward like Eeyore. I don't know if you watch the old school Disney Eeyore with that big hunchback. And what that feels like to be hunchback and forward, creating a wide open starfish hand here. And breathing in a breath into the back of that heart space. And allowing it to flow.
Mom, I pulled out this
and
week.
Slowly walking up. That is so great, Jack. You're doing such a good job. Inhale, rising up at the shoulders. So feeling what that feels like, the difference between, and if you are a hip-hop dancer or something, you might know that. I'm gonna throw it down. These moves are not the best. I'm trying to learn these moves. We'll see how this goes, my friends. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, hunching forward and crossing. One hand over the opposite knee and the opposite over the opposite knee. Exhaling, hunching forward, tucking that chin in towards the chest. Breathing in a big breath of love here. And feeling what this feels like to feel gated and closed off in our heart space. We're actually even creating this X, like no way, nothing is coming in, nothing is going out. This is my heart space here. Just breathing in a breath of gratitude for yourself. Slowly, mindfully unraveling, uncrossing. And whatever way your legs were crossed, do it the opposite way. So bring the opposite foot forward and cross the opposite hand underneath. So I had my right hand under, now I'm going to have my left under and my right on the top. Slowly feeling what that feels like to crouch forward, to roll into that ball, to lose that integrity of the spine, to roll forward, tuning into that intention of why you're here today. Maybe it is just strengthening the heart, strengthening the hips, whatever that feels like for you today in your body. So breathing that breath into the back of the heart, our heart space, and even our hips, they're not just in the front of our body. They're not located only in one space. It's all around. Our heart chakra is all around our heart space. Breathing in that breath, deepening, letting it flow. And slowly and mindfully, as if you were taking off your shirt, not actually taking off your shirt, but just gently, what it would feel like to slowly unpeel, get off all of that negativity, taking off that negative, that yucky aura, and let's throw that off to the side. Here, we're cleansed and we're clear here in this space. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, twisting to one side. Feeling what that feels like to extend through the spine, not dropping, extending and growing up through the spine. Not compromising the integrity of the spine by going too far back. I got these beautiful beeswax candles for homeschool. My kids are in their homeschool enrichment program, which is awesome. And the flame is so beautiful, especially by this beautiful inspired piece, who is inspired by my Reiki Master Spirit Guide, whose name is Florette, and she is here to help protect me and bring me compassion for myself. Do you need compassion for yourself? I think we all need compassion for ourselves. Finding that length through that spine, twisting, and that thoracic lumbar, which is that midsection of the spine. With the core, inhale, rising up. Exhale, twisting through that midsection, finding that twist that feels good for you. Length all the way from the sit bones up to the sky. If it feels good, you can gently peek over the shoulder. Check out my chubby Buddha I'm working on. He's still a work in progress, but he's looking amazing. I never quite understood the energy of the fat Buddha, the Tibetan Buddha. But oh my gosh, he just brings me so much joy. I don't know if you can see his face up close, but he is just so smiley, and he just radiates joy and happiness, and I get it. I totally get it. Inhale, raising up to neutral. Exhale, really shooting and growing up at that spine, growing, and feeling what that feels like to compress down and fall down. Inhale, raising up, finding integrity and growing, finding that length in that spine. Soft back bend here, so tipping back edge your heart, opening up your heart here. Beautiful, opening up the shoulders here. Wonderful work, my beautiful friend. Exhaling forward. And slowly and mindfully coming back, opening up the feet wide on the mat, so feet wide open on the edges of the mat, even overlapping would be fine. Really rooting down through those four corners of the feet, 2 corners in the front, 2 in the heel. Really pressing those down, and I know this can feel challenging. For me, I feel like back heavy. So really tuning into this, pressing down through onto the mat. Inhale, arching your cat, almost like a seated cat, arching that back, rolling back, using the integrity, tucking in at the navel. Exhale, diving and popping the heart up, growing up at the heart, and tuning into the hips here. You can even press on your knees and open up your knees here, tuning into the heart and to the hips. Exhale, rolling, sinking back, feeling the integrity of the core straight, slowly journeying. Taking a few of these at your own pace. Inhale, deepen. Rolling, exhaling. Sinking, allowing yourself to be. Exhaling. Deepening that breath. And if breath is something for you, I've been talking about this a lot, that makes you feel a little anxious, tune into the movement. So tune into the spine, tune into the hips, tune into the shoulders. Inhale, rising up. Exhaling, planting the right foot into the mat with core engagement, using the opposite foot for a seated figure 4 here. As we're in this seated figure 4 here, really tuning into that hip and that glute, posting back on the hands, really opening up at the heart space here, really grounding down through the hands. Hands can point away from you, hands can go to the side here. Finding length from the sit bones all the way up to the sky, and tuning into the back of that hip on this intense, amazing hip opening stretch here. You can exhale and slowly turn your body towards the foot that is bent in, breathing in a big breath, letting it go. Allowing yourself to sink and allowing yourself to be present here. Being present in your body, really tuning into what that feels like in your hip. Inhale, lengthening, growing through the spine. Exhaling, taking a soft, gentle gaze to the opposite side here, really feeling the heat cultivating in that hip. Breathing in love for that hip, love for that body. Exhaling it out long. The heart and the hip, my friends. Opening up that heart. Envisioning that heart space as that imagery of opening that door, turning on that light in that dark room, opening up that cave, blossoming that flower, really, instead of being here where our natural state, that unfortunately now is, really finding that integrity, growing up. Unless you are in those hip hop moves, doing those popping in, locking in, twerking, which I'm not the best, but they're really fun to pretend to do. Inhale, growing up, unhip hopping yourself for now. Really feeling what that feels like in that thigh. I'm feeling a lot of tingly sensations in my foot up. Maybe taking a few ankle rolls here, rolling the ankle, opening up the heart, taking in a big breath. In yoga, when we can hold poses more in a restorative state for longer than 30 to 60 seconds, we actually can expand and create more flexibility and deepen at our connective tissue, which is that tissue that is deep, deep, deep within the layers, within our muscles. It's pretty amazing. I learned all about this connective tissue. It is fascinating. And there's all of these tiny little cords and bundles of muscles within our muscles. Our bodies are truly amazing. Slowly and mindfully using core engagement, placing that foot if you need to allow it to come down, and just feeling what that feels like in that hip. Maybe taking a soft half of a butterfly here. So just dropping one leg down, one is up and one is down. Taking a soft half of a butterfly here. Finding length in that spine and just tuning into that hip. Slowly bringing that leg up and exhaling, working on that socket. Our hip joint is on this ball and socket joint and just feeling what this feels like. We usually do this laying, but feeling what that feels like from a seated posture. And this is something that you can do throughout your day if you're feeling tight in the hips, or if you're driving. Not if you're driving, you couldn't take your foot off the pedal, but if you need to just grab your knee a little bit and move it around, this could be something that could be very loving and compassionate and kind towards yourself. Exhaling, coming back. Now posting the opposite foot into the earth, those four corners, finding length from the sit bones, even though we are kind of at this little bit of this diagonal angle. Exhaling, crossing if you need to, bringing that foot here, and whatever this looks like for you, it's going to look different for many people, for all people. So if you need to keep this foot down more, if it's too tight and it feels, oh my gosh, I can't even get it up here, that's okay. Bring that foot down. You can release that heel up and tune into that figure four. So pressing in, just being aware if you're pressing on the knee, which I could have said on the last one, but I didn't. Better late than never. Really pressing in, finding length from the spine here. And my ankle is kind of bony, so I'm going to scooch it over more, kind of higher up on my calf because it feels really bony. And being aware if you're trying to lean back in your body is trying to push you away, finding that strength, that integrity, cultivating that compassion and strength within. Finding length in that spine, maybe rolling out that ankle here. Feeling what that feels like in your hip. And if you're not feeling it in your hip, maybe readjusting until you can actually feel that settling in your hip. Rolling that ankle. Envisioning that heart opening. So here we can be collapsed, which my shoulders are trying to do, or we can grow, grow, grow. We can find length and integrity, opening up the heart in the front, and really squeezing the shoulder blades together. Envision we're pinching maybe a stone, holding a stone in between our shoulders here. Inhaling in a beautiful big lengthened breath into the heart space and letting it flow. Feeling what that feels like in your hips. Oh my gosh, it's feeling so good for me. I'm loving this. Lengthening, deepening at that connective tissue, allowing yourself to be where you are, being present here in this moment, my beautiful friends. Inhaling, fighting through the urge to just let go and collapse here, and just being strong and grounded. Slowly, mindfully allowing that leg to come down. Slowly, mindfully allowing that back to slowly journey down. Slowly. This is one of those poses where I know me, I have this innate response to just like crank down. But doing your best to keep your feet engaged and allow that core, oh, and there it goes, to come down. Grabbing that little towel that we grabbed, my dear friends here. Grabbing this towel here and just rolling it up. You can hold it long and maybe just giving it a little roll-a-roni, or just bundling it together. Bending in at the left or right foot, whatever one works for you best. This is your practice, and wherever you are in your practice is amazing. Wrapping that towel, this is just like a homemade makeshift yoga strap, which most of us don't have. Also, if you had a belt or a scarf, that would work too, but I wanted to try the kitchen towel here. Exhaling, lengthening that leg long on the mat, if that feels good, or exhaling and keeping it bent. Allowing the opposite arm to either help guide you, or you can rest it on your belly. Exhaling, and slowly you can come into a little bit of a half-happy baby here. We're doing a half-happy baby. You were using it like a strap. Do you want to use one? Allowing that hip to open on that ball and socket joint. We're going to have it, and then you can blow it out. You can sit with us. Not on my tummy. Finding that half of that happy baby. And slowly allowing that leg to straighten, and slowly bending, driving that heel in towards your pelvic floor. Your pelvic floor is that big group of muscles inside, like where your Kegel space is. Feeling that tighten, and exhale, loosening it, like letting it all go. Inhale, tightening it up. Exhale, loosening, letting go of your pelvic floor. Inhale, tightening and feeling that strength of that pelvic floor. Exhale, making that leg long and slowly hinging and allowing that leg to journey to what feels good. Soft bend here to the elbow. And I know I've seen some practicers who can crank their leg all the way down fast. Don't take this fast. It's not a race. It is about being gentle and mindful with your body. Jackie, go pick the stuff at the outside. Allowing that heel to open. Jack's going to blow out our candle for us apparently. We want our candle, Jack. We like it. Really feeling that on that hip and opening up towards the groin area. Opening up, and whatever this feels like to you. If you can get your leg fully extended, that's great. If only up here is where it works, that is wonderful too. But just taking this slow, my friend, at your own pace. Yoga, I've said it a million times and I will continue to say it, is a practice. It is not a perfect Jack Hugo bottom. No way. I love you.
fell down.
Go play. Go play outside. Allowing that hip to be open. And if this feels good to you, maybe you can take some slow little pulses. It feels really good to be just pulsing and opening up. Thank you. I have a puppy on me. And I always have some sort of a child, even when my other two are gone. Usually that means that he's always on me because he's feeling like he needs extra love and attention. So my theme is always working through distractions. Ouch. Ouch. With the next inhale, inhaling slowly. Just slowly journeying and rising up. And my grip is feeling like it's loosening, so I don't know if yours is feeling like that, but I'm going to switch and re-grab my grip. You can even use both arms. Just being mindful, if you are going to the side, you want to keep steady on one side. Exhaling that leg up and slowly bending that in for that half a happy baby. And giving that leg a little hug, tucking in and saying, thank you, hip. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, hip. Exhaling and tuning into that other hip. So setting in, you can sit with me and do yoga, but you have to be gentle. For the opposite hip here, putting that rag on the opposite foot, bending and bringing that in for half of a happy baby. And yogi's choice, if you want to bend the knee or if you want to lengthen this leg long on the mat. Whatever feels best for you, and it doesn't have to be the same on the other side. Just whatever feels good for you. Hey, Jeff, will you take Joy outside, please? And thank you, friends. And maybe I'll take you for some special drinky later, okay? Okay, go outside.
Okay, I will pick.
This candle smells so good. And just slowly outside with Joy.
Yum, 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 yum.
We got these beeswax candles for homeschool. We do Waldorf curriculum, and the beeswax candles smell absolutely amazing, you guys. I don't know if you've ever experienced the scent of beeswax candles, but oh, they smell so good. They're so soothing. Inhale, rising up, finding length in that hip and really tuning into that socket joint. Slowly exhaling. Sighing out. And this is going to feel totally different from one hip to the other. I can feel my left hip is way tighter and I'm kind of by this little stance. I'm going to scooch out. So if you're by a wall, just move your body over and allow that hip to open to what feels good for you. Just taking it slow. We have our hip flexor. Our hip is this incredible joint and it's connected by so much tissue, tendons and muscles and nerves and arteries. Everything is running up and down our body and through our hips, connecting all the way up to our heart space and our lungs and up to our brain. So just being gentle with yourself, not torquing just to do the motion, just feeling it. Breathing in that length and inhale into the heart space. Letting it go. Long lengthened breath into the heart space. Envisioning that heart opening up, that light turning on, that flower blossoming. And letting it go. Feeling what that feels like in that hip. Giving so much gratitude to that amazing hip. Big, beautiful breath, my friend, into that hip, opening up the heart, opening up the hip. Deepening that fascia, that connective tissue that's deep, 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 opening. When we do things like this, I know in the moment it doesn't feel like a lot, but after, if you continue to do deep stretches like this, you will increase your flexibility and your mobility in your body by doing these gentle things. It's not always about like the HIIT training or the doing the power workouts. It's these gentle ones too, in combination with whatever else works good for you, or running. Slowly and mindfully bringing that leg up to half a happy baby that makes the difference within our body. And feeling what that feels like at that hip. Oh, it feels so good. Hip-a-roni. Slowly and mindfully, I know my grip. I was gripping the crap out of that. I don't know how you were, but my hand was like, whoa, why was I gripping so hard? Allowing that leg to lengthen long. And feel what that feels like in that body. Tuning into the legs long on the mat, bending one hand like a kickstand and bringing that up and bending it at the other hand. Lengthening the legs long, coming in for Matsyendrasana, the fish. This is a beautiful heart opener. Really tuning into what this feels like in your legs, lengthened on the mat. Envisioning there's an invisible wall at your feet. Pressing into that wall, creating Shakti, that energy within, by opening up the toes. You can actually open up the hands too. Option 2, you can put your hands underneath. You just don't want to be uncomfortable because this is already kind of a little trickaroni one. Really driving the shoulder blades in together and expanding at the heart. Feeling what that feels like to open the heart. Holding that vision of your heart opening. Soft tuck at the chin. Raising up. Keeping integrity of the spine and softly tipping back at the head. If it feels good, don't just like flop your head lazily back, but if you want to keep that integrity, and you can just open up and feel what that feels like, opening up that heart, squeezing the back of the heart, opening up, feeling what that feels like inside. It feels amazing. You're doing so much amazing work here. Big, beautiful breath into the heart space. Exhaling and letting it all float. And there is always the option here, if this is feeling like too much, to put pillows underneath of your back into a supported fish. But I was feeling like I wanted to do something a little bit more strengthening for our biceps and our triceps. So trying this and see if that feels good. And if not, you can just go to the supported version where you just lay back on the pillow. Opening up that heart space. Long, lengthened inhale into the heart. And letting it go. Purifying that breath. And letting it flow. Beautiful job, you wonderful little fish. And slowly and mindfully allowing your body, you can come up from that into a Dandasana, a seated staff pose. Finding length in the spine, growing up hands by the side, lengthening the legs long, the longs leg on the mat. My words are getting twisted around me. Feeling what that feels like. Awesome, amazing work, my beautiful friends. Crisscrossing here at the hips. Feeling what that feels like at the hips. Journeying the hands forward and slowly bringing the weight onto the hands and journeying up into this tabletop position. Feeling what that feels like within the hips. Opening up the knees wide to the edges of the mat, and if you can, let them overlap the mat. And you might have smaller legs and that might be fine too, but if you have larger ones, I encourage you to let them drop long. Big toes touching big toes, opening up at the heels, sinking back at the sit bones, opening up at the hips here, opening up here for Bhaktasana, the devotional. Keeping a wide open hand. You have the option to rest your head on the mat. Rest your head down onto the earth here. My head's just up so you can hear me. Exhaling, allowing the heart to sink into the earth. Allowing the hips to deepen. Allowing the hips to open here. Feeling what this feels like. Beautiful work, my beautiful friends. You're doing so much amazing work here. Envisioning that heart opening. Envision that light turning on, that flower blossoming, that door opening, whatever works best for you. You always have the option to go into a child's pose, and you can let the arms fall back. If that feels good, sometimes that does feel really good too. Just really tuning into love on those hips, loving the body, being so grateful, tuning back into that intention of this practice, why we're here. Maybe it's opening that heart, opening the hips, or maybe it's something a little deeper, giving yourself some compassion today. Big breath in, envisioning that heart opening, letting it flow. In yoga, we refer to our heart as our anahata. Anahata, which is our spiritual heart. It's just that sacred space around us, that energetic space around us. Slowly and mindfully, drawing the body up. Drawing the body up from the knees. And tuning in to that core and that midsection. And slowly using that core to rock back and walk up. Using that core here, straightening up for our peak pose here, our camel pose here. Before we take this camel pose, we're going to just do a few soft side twists. So inhale the arms up, exhaling them to a T, and twisting at one side. Breathing in a beautiful breath. Exhale, raising the arms up and taking a soft cactus. Squeezing the shoulder blades together, envisioning that stone. Maybe if we want, you can do a little silly flex if that feels good to you. Exhale, rising up, feeling that twist and that strength of the spine. Inhaling, exhaling the arms, letting them float down. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, sinking. Finding that strength, hugging the thighs together, lengthening the legs behind you. Inhale, raising up. Gently twisting back to neutral. Exhaling the arms to a T with that core engagement, twisting to the opposite side here. Inhale, raising the arms up. Exhale, pinching together the shoulder blades, opening up the heart from the front of the body. Exhale, raising the arms up. Exhale, sinking. Inhale, raising up. Exhale, sinking down. Beautiful work, my friends. Inhale, warming up that spine. Exhale, sinking, arms to neutral. Inhale, raising up, back to center here. Exhaling forward for a moment, feeling that strength of the core. Inhale, raising up and tuning into the hips and the knees. And envisioning that there is a wall in front of us. And if you need, you can actually go and press your hips on a wall. This can be really helpful to be aware of where our hips are. In this camel pose, we often have this tendency to sink back. We have a tendency in general just to fear things. Thinking, oh my gosh, I'm too scared of this is too scary, my body's not strong enough, and we're gonna end up sinking in. We're gonna go to that hip hop pose, but we're not hip hopping. We're gonna be more grand and graceful, like a more ballerina dancer, or just more a person who is prideful and loves themselves. So really tuning into those hips and the legs on the earth, tuning into the knees, keeping the knees under the hips here. So see this? Back and forth. So maybe taking a few where you push your booty back, and now squeeze, squeeze, squeeze into the glutes here. So this pose, you might think it's just this grand, giant back bend. It is this beautiful back bend, but it's also working the hamstrings and the glute muscles. So really tuning into those. And if you are a very, very beginner, I encourage you to try this modification, which is just inhale, rising up, exhaling one arm, and envisioning sliding it into back pocket. If you have a real back pocket, put it up on that back pocket. Exhaling the other arm into that back pocket, opening up the heart here, stretching, really opening up the heart space from the front, squeezing the shoulder blades together here, and sticking with this variation if you are a very, very beginner. And really feeling what that feels like to hinge and open up at the heart, keeping that humble tuck to that chin, doing your best. I'm sure you've seen people do this pose and you might have seen their body and it's like curled in half. Well, that's not all of us. That's not all of us. I sometimes get discouraged, even me practicing yoga, when I see people doing that. Like, I can't do that, but I can do what my body can do. So going with what feels good for your body, not twerking your body into some pose because you saw somebody do it and you thought that was the right way. So feeling or exhaling, option to keep the feet down onto the earth or option to post up, whatever works best for you. Inhale, raising up, keeping that integrity of the hips forward. Exhale, raising up and slowly journeying. Option to touch the back of the calf. Option to grab from the back of the heel here. Feeling that back bend, keeping integrity, coursing that core strength here. Finding that humble tuck in the chin. And again, if you are a beginner or if you do have back injuries, staying here. If you have a spinal injury, I do not recommend back bends because they're just not really your friend as much. You can do gentle, but don't go for these harder ones. Because we want to keep our body, we have these bodies forever. Exhaling, opening up the shoulders, the other arm allowing you to journey back and feeling what that feels like in your hips if they're wanting to sink, keeping the hips wide open, soft bend at the arms, opening up the heart, opening up the hips. If it feels good, you can gently bend that head back and really just feeling what this feels like in this beautiful camel, this ultimate heart opening, our beautiful peak pose of our practice, squeezing those shoulder blades together, opening and expanding, growing our heart, blossoming our flower here. Beautiful work, my darling, amazing friends. And if you are up in that other variation, you are exactly where you need to be. You are amazing and doing beautiful work here. Opening up that heart, my friends, and feeling what that feels like. And slowly and mindfully bringing that hand up. And slowly and mindfully and feeling what that feels like. My spine feels on fire a little bit and just settling. So taking this next moment to sneeze, if that's what you need to do. Or to come into that Vajrasan variation. I'm going to grab this camera and come a little bit closer so you can check out that Vajrasan variation that works best for you, my friend. That Vajrasan variation, which can be a little bit different, which can be, it could be crisscrossing arch on arch, or just big toes touching big toes and dropping out at the heels and sinking back at those sit bones. Or if the mobility does not allow, you can grab a towel or pillow and allow yourself to sit back and just allow yourself to be and feel what this feels like here in this, from that beautiful camel, tuning into your body and what it feels like. We are cruising this out. I didn't realize this was going to be such a long practice. Good job, my friends. And feeling what that feels like in your spine. Maybe your spine is feeling so warm. My spine's feeling super warm. And our spine is like a credit card. If you bend it one way and back and forth too many times, you can injure it. So being gentle with your spine here. Slowly for me, I like to do a few cow and cats after. So rounding up and growing up the spine, if that feels good to you. Exhaling. Or maybe it's just taking something slow and gentle, or even a Bhaktasana. If that feels good for you, allowing that body to sink forward. Just bringing that awareness in that spine. Beautiful work, my friends. Just taking a movement that feels good for you, but just not twerking that spine too much, or finding a little movement that feels good for you. And exhaling up into down facing dog here, and just taking a moment to feel what that feels like in that spine. Slowly walking out your dog. And inhale, raising up one leg and slowly journeying that leg up and through, coming in for Ekapada Kapotasana, the pigeon. So this will look different for everyone, but drawing that heel in towards that pelvic floor. If you have more flexibility, your leg might be a little bit more to the side. If your hip super pops up like mine, sometimes, I don't even know if this is enough, but you can pop something under that hip. That doesn't help too much. To help support that hip, push pause and grab a pillow, because that feels much better. Coming in, you can stay up for a pigeon, for a more active pigeon, or if you would like, you can let it go and let that hip open. Hinge forward if you have a block or a pillow, resting the forehead onto the arms. Breathing in a big breath into that hip. Giving gratitude into opening up that heart and opening the hips and letting it go. Breathing in so much much love to this strong, amazing body of ours that's doing so much incredible work. Our hips are so amazing. And letting it sink. Wonderful work, my friends. Beautiful big breath into the heart space. And letting it flow. Really tuning into what that feels like in that hip. And slowly rising up. And tuning in. Hind foot up. And bringing that leg out. Coming in for that side lizard. Dropping that high knee and just opening up that hip, just slowly allowing it to rock out, slowly allowing it to come in and just feeling and giving so much gratitude to that hip that feels so good. Beautiful work, my friends. Big breath in, letting it fly. Big breath in, letting it fly. Posting the hands back, coming into that down facing dog, pressing in to the hands, walking out that dog slowly and gently. Opposite leg raising high, high, high up to the sky. Inhale, tucking, coming in for that pigeon on the opposite side. Tuning into what version feels best for you. Maybe it's driving that heel in towards the pelvic wall, or it's bringing that leg long, lengthening that leg behind you, doing your best to tune into that. Mine has a tendency to kind of curve in, but tune in to a nice straight back leg. Option to keep high and active, or option to sink down and let yourself rest. Resting at the forehead, letting yourself go. Allowing yourself to breathe a big heart opening, hip opening breath into the back body. And letting it go, my beautiful friends. Wonderful work, beautiful breath into that heart space. And letting it go. One more, my angel, amazing friends. And letting it flow. Tuning the hands back in. Posting up with that hind foot. Bringing that strength in and bringing that foot on the outside of the hand for that lizard pose. What I do is with my kids, we like to go. You can drop that hind knee down. Make a little lizardy pose. And just feel what that feels like in that hip. That beautiful hip, hip, hip. Opening up the heart, opening the hip, giving yourself so much love. You are doing such amazing work, my friends. Thank you for sticking out this practice. And I didn't realize this was going to turn into a full class, but heck yes, sometimes we need a full class. Raising up, popping that knee together, slowly bringing the knees together, dropping open at the knees, sinking back for one more child's pose or devotional, hands forward, allowing the heart to sink, allowing the back to be open. Giving yourself so much love and so much gratitude for showing up for yourself, for showing up for this practice, feeling what that feels like in those hips. They're feeling just, my hips and my heart are truly feeling so open and so warm. And giving yourself love today, rehydrating with lots of water, eating food that makes you feel good, not food that makes you feel heavy. Food that makes you feel good and light and energetic, getting outside, connecting with somebody that you love that maybe you haven't connected with in a while, or maybe someone you were fighting with that you need to make up. Do something like that. And slowly inhale to raise up and bringing yourself to that booty, and whatever this looks like to you. I'm getting a little woo free one. And slowly journeying, however this looks to you, to get onto that back again. I know we were on our backs to start. And now we're going to get back down there. Slowly, slowly, slowly bringing that weight down. Hugging, 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 giving yourself so much love for Apanasana, a double wing reliever. Slowly exhaling. You can keep the legs long, or to keep with our hip opening, you can do a laying down Baddha Konasana. Allowing the heart to open, allowing the arms to rest at your sides, taking a scan from the feet all the way up, all the way especially at the hips, bringing light into the hips, into the heart, giving love and light to yourself, and so much gratitude for showing up for yourself and showing up for this practice, my beautiful friends. Allowing yourself the next moments to just clear and feel what it feels like to surrender to Savasana, to surrender to life, and know that whatever is going on in the outside world, that we can always come back to our breath. We can always come back to our powerful affirmations of giving ourselves love and compassion, even holding this word of surrender with us throughout our day. Beautiful, deep, purifying breath into the heart, and letting it flow, allowing yourself the space to just be here. I'm truly grateful for you, my friends, and I'm so grateful for this practice. So allowing yourself a little time here, being gentle with your body, however you need to get up and get out of this. Thank you so much. And I hope that this practice really did help you open your hips and heart. My hips are feeling warm, and I'm feeling, woo, that was a good practice. It was really good. I feel blissed out. I named this Blissed Out, if you didn't know. Or not blissed out, Yoga Bliss with Shelly, because I get these feelings of feeling blissed out where I'm just like, woo, high on all of the energy around me. So I hope you feel blissed out. Do you? I'm sending you so much love and compassion for yourself today. And please, today, treat yourself good. Drink water today. Give yourself love, hugs. Close your eyes and just say, I love you. You are more than enough. You are awesome. You are amazing because you are, and you're showing up. So today, show up for you, show up for your life, and see what miracles happen, because when we show up, supported miracles surround us everywhere. Thank you so much, my beautiful friends. Woo! Day 20. Woo woo. Namaste. Namaste, my beautiful friends.